Ready, Mr. Music? Yeah. Good. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your attendance for the October meeting. And before we start, I'd like to acknowledge some special guests here tonight. And don't get embarrassed. Molly and Matilda and Jamie, welcome to our meeting here tonight. I hope you find it entertaining. Thank you to those who have also attended from other places, and welcome to those who are watching on YouTube. So, item 1, recording and live streaming of council meetings. I ask our CEO, Mr. Bird, to read the following statement.
All council meetings are filmed with both video and audio being recorded. Audio is captured from the entire room and video is focused on the councillors and the officers. By speaking during question time or at any time during the meeting, you consent to your voice and any comments you make being recorded. In common with all narrative during council meetings, verbal responses to congratulations, obituaries and questions on agenda items will not be recorded in the written minutes. The reason for recording council meetings is to hold us more accountable to our community by having as accurate a record of meetings as possible, and also to improve transparency on decision making for those that are unable to attend in person. The full meeting is streamed live on Council's YouTube channel, which is Alpine Shire Council, and a recording will be available at the same location immediately after the meeting.
Thank you. Item 2, acknowledgement of traditional custodians and recognition of all people. Could we stand for that, please?
The Alpine Shire Council acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we are now on. We also acknowledge those people who have contributed to the rich fabric of our community and strive to make wise decisions that will improve the quality of life for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Just forgot to mention those who have mobile devices, could they please be turned to silent or off? Thank you. Better check mine. Item 3.1, Ordinary Council Meeting M9, September 2017, recommendation that the minutes of the Ordinary Council Meeting held on 5th of September 2017 as circulated be confirmed. Councillor Keeble. Second. Councillor Pearce. All those in favour? Against?
I wasn't here, can't.
Fair enough.
We missed you. Can. Yeah, can second.
Can it move?
That's all right. We're all in favour. Apologies, there are nil. Obituaries and congratulations from my left, Councillor Forsyth.
No. I was going to mention Tom Petty, but that's nothing to do with Alpine Shire.
Mr. Mayor, I do have one, an obituary, and it's to a local Bright resident by the name of Paul Hickey. A fantastic friend and a fantastic member of our community in many ways, in football, cricket, alpine actors, been in a few plays with him myself, marathons, music, a great father, great husband. He died last week at the age of 64, and a great member of our community, and a very sad day, and so goodbye to Paul Hickey.
Thank you. Councillor Mapstein?
No, I was just going to remember Las Vegas, but I thought, no, I won't do that.
Well, I'm sure we, as a community, will remember all those who have been seriously injured or lost their lives, and also their families in that tragic incident overseas. Councillor Keep? Councillor Nicholas? Councillor Roper?
What?
Congratulations.
Yeah, or obituaries? No.
No.
Thank you. Okay. I'd just like, I recently, on Sunday actually, went to the opening of the Senior Citizens Week at the Bright Community Centre, and I want to congratulate the Mount Beauty Community Band who played there. They did an excellent job with their swing band, and there were a lot of people tapping their feet, and I thought they might get up and do a bit of dancing, but no one asked me. Just a wallflower. No, an excellent effort from that community. Declaration by councillors of conflict of interest. Are there
Currently aware.
nil? Oh. Public questions on the agenda items. I've got 2 questions on notice which I'll deal with. They are both from the same correspondent, Kate Farrell from Wandillagong. The first one is in relation to the United Nations Sustainable Development UN 21 platform. For those of you that are familiar with it, does somebody have Mr. Bird, do you have a reply to that, or Councillor Knapstein has done some research on this?
Just in summary, UN Agenda Item 21 relates to sustainability. The number 21 refers to the 21st century. The document itself and the proposal is 25 years old, and that morphed into the Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Plan. Its relevance locally is it's a non-binding, voluntarily implemented action plan of the United Nations, and it's not going to add anything to our thinking that's not already there.
Okay, thank you. I think that's sufficiently answered. We have a environmental policy written within our policies, and we are acutely aware of our need to be cognizant of the environment in just about everything we do this day and age. So our councillors and our staff are always thinking that way. The second question says, dear councillors, will you be voting yes for the same-sex marriage equality campaign? My reply to that is that it is a federal matter. It is not a matter for this council. It is an individual matter, and I won't take that any further. There are no further questions on notice. Questions from the floor. There's a limit of 2 questions per person. The usual, sorry Mary to have to tell you all the time, but just state your name and where you're from.
Mary Pike from Toowoomba South. I'm the Secretary of the Upper Kiewa Valley Community Association. I'm actually going to...
Being re-elected, Mary.
Sorry?
Congratulations on being elected.
Yeah, in absentia. Yes. Thank you, Peter, for chairing.
Oh, no, it was amazing.
Thank you for chairing the meeting.
There was acceptance and everyone clapped, and you are it.
Thank you. I'm surprised. I'm actually going to ask a question about tonight's agenda because I find the wording of asking questions on an agenda which is still to be discussed rather difficult. But in the financial report under expenditure, it mentions that the employee costs were lower than budgeted by just under $1 million. And this was as a consequence of partly of a number of budgeted positions remaining vacant. And I just wonder why positions are left vacant, what positions they are, and how do they impinge on service to the community?
It's one for you, Mr. Bird.
Thank you, Mary. It's a very good question. So firstly, we take recruitment here very seriously, and so we place a lot of importance to getting the right person for the role. And our experience is, or previous experience is, that if you get the wrong person there, it can cost the organisation and the community a lot. And so the one that springs to mind is the manager of corporate, which Leanne Williams previously held. That's been vacant since middle of November. Sounds about right. And we've gone through 2 recruitment processes, and we've been unsuccessful on both occasions. And I'll go into some detail, but it covers the breadth of areas and the depth in finance. We're finding it difficult to find the right person to fill that role. And so we've been having a lot of discussion internally about the best way, whether we reshape that, and we're going through it. That's one example. There's also that in summary, has an impact on the community, and we've been fortunate enough for Natalie Cook to join us in February this year as Director of Corporate. And since Natalie's joined us, there hasn't been a manager of corporate in place, and during that time we've adopted a special rate for dinner plan, adopted a new 4-year council plan, adopted an annual budget and an annual report and a finance report. So I think it's clear that hasn't come at a cost or expense to the community. It's where, I guess, through Natalie and her team are working very, very hard to deliver what we need to deliver for the community, but we are actively working to fill that role. We're also negotiated a wage freeze with our staff last year as well, which was a 3-year wage freeze in return for a 4-year job security. That also partly led to the reduction in the employee costs as well.
Thank you. Yes, certainly.
Just make one quick comment. On the following page in the agenda, it mentions that communicating this report to the community, copies will be in 3 different places in each of the big towns. Mount Beauty Customer Service Centre. I don't think anybody in Mount Beauty would really know where the Customer Service Centre is, and I just wonder, could we please say at the library or something like that? I don't know if it's at the library at Myrtleford where it says Customer Service Centre, but it just could be a bit confusing.
We can definitely make that change in the future.
Thank you. Are there further questions? Mr. Dyer?
My name's Ray Dyer and I live at Ovens. Mr. Bird, CEO. Last July I spoke about the drinking fountain at Piazza Court, is it? Piazza Park in Myrtleford, being cleaned, and you said that you'd clean it. Hasn't been cleaned as yet. And the other thing is, the drinking fountain in Bright was under the little pergola when you did the works up there around the roundabout. It's been changed now and put under a tree. If you have a look at that, there's marks on that because I took photographs last the meeting when it was in Mount Beauty that night, and there was a man there just before that. He'd walked on dog faeces and he was cleaning his boots with it there, and I think the marks are still on it actually. Now the one in Porpunka, I had a look at that today and took a photograph too. It's not real good at all either. And what happened at the last July meeting, I was very disappointed because I spoke about the drinking fountain not being clean for a long time, and yet the Shire were going to fine me for stepping out of line. I take that absolutely responsible and absolutely ridiculous, because if you can't mention something to a Shire and get it done, there's big problems with communications.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. You can respond.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. We will look into those matters, and I think where communication is respectful with council officers, then council officers will be respectful and they will respond and address matters.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? One more question, Mr. Dyer.
Mr. CEO, did you receive a letter from me today?
I did, thank you.
You did, and I expect a meeting with you to discuss that, because you attacked my character and my personality and my credibility. That's not on.
Thank you for your statement. It's not a question.
Oh, well, sorry, when we meet, we'll talk about it. Sorry. If that's all right.
Mr. Bird, CEO, will respond if he wishes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in your letter here, Mr. Dyer, you said that I find very upsetting and attacking my character and credibility. So, and you've also questioned what, with no grounds to back it up. Now, Mr. Dyer, if I could finish, please.
What do you want me to say? Or do you want me to stay here because...
I would like to finish my response. Where I have our council staff physically upset after you've attended the front desk on numerous occasions, it's very clear to me that it's not appropriate for you to attend the council office and communicate in the manner in which you do. We have an obligation to provide a safe working environment without bullying and harassment, and so as a result of that we've taken actions and sent you a letter accordingly. In response to your letter today, it's still unclear what you want to meet about, and it's still very unclear about how us meeting would be of benefit to the broader community that we represent.
No, I think. Thank you. Council is aware of the letter and the actions that the CEO have taken, and we are the employer of the CEO, and we expect that the CEO looks after the staff accordingly, and we support the actions. We'll move on now to item 8.1, presentation of reports by officers. Chief Executive Mr. Bird, Alpine Shire Council Annual Report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report relates to our annual report 2016-17, which as you can see in the front cover there has a picture taken by a local Bright resident, Brendan Holland, of the recently completed Mafeking Square project. So we're required to prepare an annual report and submit it to the Minister for Local Government within 3 months of the end of the financial year, and then Council is required to have a meeting to consider it. So what I'm pleased to report on last year is the strong financial position that Council finds itself in. That's due to our income being greater than forecast, which is largely due to our financial assistance grants being brought ahead of time. Also many successful grant applications, particularly in the asset development area or director of assets area, in the order of $2.5 million secured last year, which is fantastic. Our operating expenditure is also lower than forecast as well, which Mary highlighted earlier about our employee costs being lower, and also our materials and services costs being lower as well. What's also really pleasing to note about last year is the performance in our capital works area, where again we had a 99% of our capital works budget delivered, highlights being the Mafeking Square project here in Bright, the Alpine Meadow Places project in Porepunkah, and the Mount Beauty Library refurbishment as well, which wasn't, it was after the storm ripped it off some time before that. So other highlights for the year: we successfully transitioned to council-operated libraries in Bright, Myrtleford and Mount Beauty, and also operating the Library Hub service. The response and recovery to the October flood event, and also successful event attraction, including the Spartan Trifecta event, which was also going to be held this year again, which brings in significant economic benefits to our Shire. So looking ahead, next year we aim to build on this performance and strive to be a council that our community is proud of and our people are proud to work for.
I'd like to move a motion, Mr. Mayor, and the motion is as the recommendation stands, and that would be number 1. And number 2 of that recommendation would be an offer of a $10 tip voucher for the first person to find an original mistake in the document and notify the Shire via the Facebook page. And I think this is a great way for the community on board to read the document. So that, to just clarify that, the number 2 is for the first person to notify the Shire via the Facebook page of a typo in the document, $10 tip voucher to be used at either Myrtleford, Porepunkah or Mount Beauty. Well, let's amp it to 20 then. Generous, yeah. $20 tip voucher.
I'll throw in another 10.
You said 30.
Ray's going home to read it now to find the mistake.
So can I have a seconder for my motion? So we've got the first. So the first part is that in accordance with the section 1341 of the Local Government Act 1989, Council note that Alpine Shire Council 2016-17 annual report containing the audited findings, blah blah. And 2, the offer of a $30 tip voucher to the first person to find each typo in the document. Well, if there's more than one, that's more than $30.
I think I've found one.
Well, there's going to be. You may have a conflict of interest.
Can we have one speaker at a time, please?
So that's
it. I'm awaiting. While that's being typed up there, Councillor Roper, have you considered, is this a budgeted item?
It is an unbudgeted item, but
Privately coming out of your...
Councillor stipend, we're quite happy to fund it out of that. The reason I've chosen this path is because I think this is an undeveloped... Well, it's a document, realistically, and this is for the people looking that are watching from afar, from the comfort of their own lounge rooms or wherever it may be. Well, exactly, I don't think it is actually, but this document, there's a lot of work goes in this. It spells out what the council's going to do realistically for the next 12 months. So have you got any comments about what the council's going to do? Or what we've done, what we've done. So this is, it's important that you actually hold us to account by reading this document, making sure.
Now, you're happy with the wording on that, Councillor Roper? Oh, you can't read it.
Council will give a $30 tip voucher to the first person.
Back on the table.
In writing. Is that through the media or a letter? Could you clarify that?
Well, the reason I suggested Facebook was because once it's posted, and you actually have some order around when it's actually posted. And seeing as we are going out live, and people can access this document apart from at the service centres, which would also be the Mount Beauty Library, Facebook's probably the easiest way of adjudicating whether the first person has found it is by the first response.
Thank you. And I would assume that the Director of Corporate is the adjudicator.
Correct. And no further correspondence will be intended to after the Director of Corporate's made their decision.
Thank you. So, as is written there, so I assume, Councillor Roper, you are putting forward the recommendation, and can I have a seconder, please? Thank you. Now, any further discussion?
I've got a more serious question on this particular one before we do it, and that is the financial assistance grants that we got in early. Can we expect them to get them early again next year, or are we going to be? Is the budget going to have a hole in it next year?
It's a very good question, Councillor Forsyth. We don't know is the short answer. They may bring them forward again, they may not. At the moment, we've forecast them not being brought early. Yep. So that's. But we'll wait and see.
Thank you. Any further comment? I'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.2.1, Acting Director Assets, Mr Jeremy, provision of contract services at Dinnerplain Village.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This report relates to the award of contract 1707401 for the provision of maintenance, waste management, snow grooming and snow clearing services at Dinnerplain Village. In August 2017, Council advertised a tender for the provision of these services. The scope of the services includes the village maintenance works, waste collection, grooming of the Nordic trails and the Peace Shooters toboggan slope, and snow clearing of roads and car parks. Following an initial assessment of the tenders were shortlisted for further evaluation. A detailed review of the 2 preferred tenders was completed. Following the assessment of the shortlisted tenders by the evaluation panel, it was determined that for the provision of maintenance, waste management and snow grooming services, the tender from GF and AM Peterson best met the selection criteria and could be demonstrated to offer the best value option for council. The evaluation team determined that further work is needed to demonstrate how best value can be achieved in the delivery of the snow clearing service through evaluating the use of different snow clearing technology and different ownership arrangements for the snow blowing equipment. The annual lump sum cost of the maintenance services increased by $7,100 compared to the current contract. This is due to the increased scope of grass and building maintenance, offset by a reduction in firefighting equipment maintenance, the removal of local law support, and the removal of a lump sum provision for day works. The annual lump sum cost of waste management under the contract has decreased by $24,800 compared to the current contract as a result of the change in the disposal location for bulk general waste. However, Council will incur an additional estimated cost of $15,000 per year for the onward transportation and disposal of bulk waste from the Myrtle Transfer Station. The net impact to Council will therefore be a reduction in the annual cost of the waste service of $9,800. The annual lump sum cost of the snow grooming has increased by $4,600 compared to the current contract. This is a result of the increased time needed to groom the trails to the required condition due to increased use of the trails from skiers, walkers, snowmobiles and sled dogs, and inclusion of the pea shooter toboggan run risk management measures. In summary, it will cost $1,900 more per annum to deliver the maintenance, waste management and snow grooming services in comparison to the existing contract. There is sufficient allocation within the applicable 2017-18 budgets for Dinner Plain, waste management, maintenance and snow grooming services to deliver the planned scope through award of this contract. The recommendation of this report is that Council, number 1, awards contract number 1707401, provision of contracted services at Dinner Plain Village, to GF and AM Peterson for maintenance, waste management and snow grooming services for a 5-year term with the option of 1 5-year extension and a year 1 lump sum price of $334,620 plus GST. Number 2, that Council accepts an annual peppercorn lease payment of $4,320 plus GST for the use of Council's office and storage shed at Scrubbers End. Number 3, the Council continues to work with the shortlisted tenderers to establish a cost-effective model for delivery of snow clearing services and presents a recommendation to award a contract for this service to the December 2017 Ordinary Council meeting.
So moved.
Councillor Roper. Councillor Roper.
I can see there's a considerable amount of work's gone into this document, into this process, and I'm glad that we've got to a point where we can go out and ensure that some of the contract is going to be delivered and working through the other part of it. So congratulations to your team, and also congratulations to Gary and Mandy, who've done a great job in the past.
Councillor Nicholas? I think
he said it all.
Right. Any Councillor Forsyth?
Just, pardon me, 2 questions on number 1. Is there a percentage increase built into the contract on a yearly basis?
There is, yes. There's a CPI increase on the anniversary of the contract, so that's as per the existing contract that we have in place.
Thank you. And the term of the peppercorn lease?
The term of the peppercorn lease is the same as the term of the contract, so it's 5 years with an extension for a further 5 years at Council's discretion.
And that is also CPI?
No, that is a fixed price.
Oh.
Yeah. My understanding is that that's a fixed price lease amount.
We could have got our $30 out of this, Pete.
Dinner Plain, we won't get it.
Is there further comment? We'll take the matter to the vote. All those in favour? It is carried. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Jeremy, that I know that there is a lot of work has gone into trying to get the best value for money for the ratepayers of Dinner Plain in this in these contracts. Item 8.3, Director of Corporate, Natalie Cook, Audit Committee meeting.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the minutes and recommendations of the Audit Committee, of which the meeting was held on the 5th of September 2017. The key items presented to that Audit Committee were the 16-17 draft annual financial report, the 16-17 draft annual performance statement, a governance and risk review, internal audit program and a health and safety report. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the 5th of September 2017 Audit Committee meeting be received and noted, and that the confidential 2016-17 Health and Safety Report be adopted.
So moved.
Councillor Nicholas. Councillor Knapstein. Councillor Nicholas.
As a member of the Audit Committee, I would like to just point out that we have very comprehensive discussions about the items that are brought to the table, and we have an excellent audit committee with external members who bring their wealth of experience, and I'm very comfortable with the committee, and I'm also comfortable that the minutes reflect what occurred.
Thank you. Councillor Knapstein.
I'll second what Councillor Nicholas said, and I'll add that it was quite a learning experience too. It's quite comprehensive. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comment?
I have a question, Mr Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Keeble.
In regards to the health and safety report, which is confidential and I'm not going into that, in regards to work safe, work cover, has there been an independent audit come through the Shire in the recent 12 months? Do we know? Have we had any spot checks?
There hasn't been a work cover audit undertaken internally since I've worked here, although we have had work cover on site at one of our transfer stations.
Okay, no problems. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholas, nothing further? Very good. Take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. 8.3.2 Instruments of Delegation and Instruments of Appointment and Authorisation. I assume that's you, Ms Cook, again.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Section 98 of the Local Government Act 1989 provides for council to delegate to a member of its staff any power, duty or function of a council. Council CEO and staff require current and accurate delegations and authorisations in order to be able to fulfil their duties. Keeping up to date with legislative changes as well as changes to roles within the organisation is essential to ensuring that staff are appropriately delegated and authorised. The main changes under this delegation instrument of appointment and authorisation are that there is no change in the content of the delegations to the CEO from the previous instrument. We do have new delegations under the Cemeteries and Crematoria Act in order to be able to manage the Buckland Cemetery. Otherwise, the changes to these delegations are to realign our delegations under changes to regulation.
So moved.
Councillor Roper. Councillor Forsyth. Councillor Roper.
Oh. No, I'm happy.
Good. No typos.
That was a one-off, Ron. I won't be doing that again. Unless we have another major document that comes to council, and then I may keep the council officers on their toes by offering said tip vouchers.
That's why you're on council. Councillor Forsyth?
No, nothing further. It's no, it's basic, but it's required.
Yeah, thank you. Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. 8.3.3 Review of Instruments of Delegation to Section 86 Committees.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to present the findings of a review into the instruments.
So move.
Councillor Pearce. Seconder.
Seconded.
Councillor Roper. Councillor Pearce.
Yeah, I'm still looking for the typo. Yeah, but I'm not allowed to give it away. Been an exciting night up here, and nothing more to say.
Thank you, Councillor Roper.
I think what Councillor Pearce said was code for dry and boring.
But important.
Very subjective.
I will add it important. That's correct. It is important, but yes.
Thank you. Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. Item 8.3.4, proposed memorial bench located adjacent to the Mount Beauty Pondage Walk. Do we have a councillor? Oh, councillor. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We have had a request to install a memorial bench adjacent to the Mount Beauty Pondage Walk. Under Policy 57, being the Place, Road and Memorial Naming Policy 2005, any request for a memorial bench or stone must go to Council for a decision. The request has been received by the family of Ernie Pantling. The request is for a bench with a plaque on it in memory of Ernie, who was a member of the Mount Beauty and Toowoomba community for many years and made a contribution to the community through his volunteer work. This work included being the Mount Beauty Visitor Information Centre, being an inaugural volunteer and an ambassador, the Rotary Club of Mount Beauty, the Mount Beauty Music Festival Committee, being a tutor in Latin and ballroom dancing at the neighbourhood centre and raising money for the hospital, and a Falls Creek ski instructor. The plaque will read, "In loving memory of Ernie Pantling, an active member of the community and that he loved so much and who loved him in return."
So moved. Seconded.
Yes.
Councillor Nicholas, Councillor Roper. Councillor Nicholas.
I think that having such a memorial is very fitting for somebody who put so much into the community and over such a wide range of opportunities. And the other thing that I thought was really important, that there were letters of support from Probus, Rotary and the Visitor Information Centre in Mount Beauty, let alone from the landholder AGL. So I look forward to seeing the memorial in place.
I'd like to acknowledge Ernie's wife Maria being here, and would you mind standing up, Maria? What it didn't say was that Ernie was always impeccably dressed, probably the smartest dressed man in Mount Beauty, and he was bon vivant, intelligent, erudite, or same thing, but you know, and fun to be around, and he was, he is missed.
If there's no further discussion, we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. I think deservedly so.
I'm looking forward to sitting on Ernie.
Item 8.3.5, Alpine Shire Councillor Domestic Animal Management Plan 2017-21. Ms Cook.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The purpose of this report is to request that Council adopts the revised Domestic Animal Management Plan for 2017 to 2021 to meet our requirements under the Domestic Animal Management Act of 1994. The plan has been revised from the previous plan that was in place. We have put the plan out for wider consultation as well as to specialist groups within the Shire and incorporated feedback that we've received.
Councillor Nicholas, Councillor Pearce. Councillor Nicholas.
I have had a look at the plan and I recognise that it's been out to public comment. I think it's obviously needs to be in place, but it's been thoroughly reviewed and it's well done, staff again.
Councillor Pearce.
I can only say I concur with my dear colleague next to me here, and thank you for the work involved.
Thank you. Any further comment?
Oh yes, I have. How many comments do we have to the plan?
Sorry, how many comments did we have?
Yeah.
We've received 3 submissions. And
of note is also that at the bottom in the report it says that we've euthanised 10 dogs and 89 cats, 78 feral and 11 domestic. So, you know, that was in 2011-12, and 2016-17 we've euthanised 5 dogs and 77 cats, 68 feral and 9 domestic. So, you know, either we've got a bent on cats that aren't registered, or feral cats, or there's more of them around than we think, or whatever. But keep up the good work, because they knock off all the little birds that give us the biodiversity around our creeks and on our walks, and those happy little wrens that jump out and say hello to you, unlike the magpies that swoop down and get you at this time of year. But anyway, good luck.
Thank you. No further comment? Yeah, Councillor Epstein.
Sorry, I just had a question around the number of registered cats. One, it's dropped in number, and two, it's a really hard figure to establish, isn't it? Registered cats.
So I think registered means that they are registered with the Shire,
Yes.
with the council.
Yep.
So having that number is one thing, but I think you're correct. I think we do need to do some education on communities' obligations to register their animals.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. No further comment. We'll take it to the vote. All those in favour? Carried. Item 9, Assembly of Councillors. The summary of the Assembly of Councillors for August-September be received. Councillor Forsyth and Councillor Pearce. I don't think there's comment required on that. All those in favour? Carried. Item 10, General Business. From my left, Councillor Forsyth. Councillor Epstein.
None from me tonight.
Councillor Keeble. Councillor Roper.
Oh, I just wonder if anyone's monitored the Facebook site for the first person to find a typo for the $30 tip voucher.
I did.
You found?
No, I've been looking at it.
Oh, it doesn't apply to you.
No one's done yet.
I would hope councillors are paying attention to the meeting.
I was paying attention to the meeting.
You have a dual screen. Councillor Pearce, nothing? Councillor Nicholas?
I do have some general business.
Okay.
I've been requested to further clarify whether I had a conflict of interest during the August Ordinary Council meeting held at Mount Beauty by Ms Farrell from Wandillagong. And I'd like to just elaborate on the Local Government Act 1989, Section 77B(3) in particular, where it states that the membership on in a club or organisation does not mean that somebody has a conflict of interest, either direct or indirect, if there's a matter on the council agenda about that club or organisation. So I'd suggest that Ms Farrell has a look at that in the Local Government Act. But she did point out that, and correctly, that when I made a comment that I had no decision-making powers around the item that she was concerned about, that the decision-making is actually in this forum. That is correct. What I was trying to point out is that I wasn't part of the detailed discussions around any of the matters of concern. And I think that ends the discussion question on my integrity around conflict of interest on that particular agenda item.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholas, and Council concurs with that. And I think that should be the end of the matter. We'll move on to item 11, motions for which notice have previously been given. There are nil. And reception and reading of petitions. In item 12, there are nil. And item 13, documents for sealing, planning and amenity department. There are a number of documents.
I'll move that one.
Oh, Councillor Forsyth.
I'll second.
Who was the seconder? Sorry.
You heard.
Councillor Rope. Thank you. There being no further business, declare the meeting closed at 7:46. Thank you to our guests for coming. It looks like it's been a long night, and I'm sure there'll be a treat for you at the end of the evening. Won't there, Mr. Bird?
I can see two people in the back row. Are they studying the annual report, are they? Looking for their tip vouchers? I'm just wondering what's going on down the back there. Well, that's...
Thank you for your attendance. Please have a safe trip home. Watch out for those animals, as the deer, etc. Thank you.